What if the most guarded secrets of the powerful, hidden cameras recording everything, private jets ferrying elites to a remote island, underage girls lured into a trafficking web, finally spilled out in over 3 million pages dumped online in January 2026, exposing flights, emails, and photos that reignite the firestorm around one name. Jeffrey Epstein. That's the seismic shock exploding across the internet right now in Epstein's final files released. The truth about the island and elite network, captured raw by the thumbnail, the list is out. Because nothing fuels that burning curiosity faster than the viral hunt for a mythical client list, even as files confirm no proven list exists, just deeper logs and mentions pulling presidents, princes, and billionaires back into the spotlight. January 30, 2026. The U.S. Department of Justice unleashes the massive drop on justice.gov after bipartisan pressure and a 2025 transparency law, over 3 million pages including flight logs, investigation notes, emails, photos. Deputy AG calling it the final major batch, after years of court battles and redactions. But chaos follows quick, thousands pulled days later for unredacted victim names by mistake, lawsuits flying, advocates raging more remains withheld. How does this avalanche, deeper flight records, elite mentions, offshore trails, answer years of demands for truth about the island horrors and network? Or prove some doors stay locked forever?
Stay with me as we dive straight into the saga, Epstein's rise from Brooklyn dropout to billionaire gatekeeper.
The empire of jets and islands, the trafficking machine with Maxwell, the sweetheart deal outrage, jail death theories, unsealing fights, the 2026 explosion details, name mentions with denials, victim voices cutting through, and the lingering question if this is reckoning or just the surface.
But how does a Brooklyn dropout with no college degree climb from teaching math at an elite private school to managing billions for the ultra-rich?
Charming his way into power that opens doors to presidents, princes, and private islands rigged with secrets. Jeffrey Edward Epstein starts simple, born 1953 in Brooklyn, New York, smart enough to skip grades but drops out of NYU without a degree, no formal finance training on paper. 1970s, he lands teaching physics and math at Dalton School in Manhattan, elite private academy for wealthy families, mingling with parents who run Wall Street empires, charm and intellect catching eyes fast. By 1976, one connection changes everything, jumps to Bear Stearns Investment Bank, rising quick in options trading and tax strategies, reputation building on sharp numbers and smooth talk. 1980s, he launches his own firm, J. Epstein & Co., promising to manage money only for billionaires, ultra-exclusive client list that sparks whispers of how he pulls it off with no track record. The real rocket fuel, Les Wexner, Victoria's secret billionaire. Epstein wins his trust, gets power of attorney over Wexner's entire fortune in 1991, controlling billions, buying properties in Wexner's name, including the massive New York townhouse later transferred to Epstein for $1. Money explodes, Epstein amasses hundreds of millions, lifestyle shifting to private jets, mansions, island purchases, but questions swirl. Where does the cash really come from when Wexner is the only confirmed major client, and Epstein's firm stays opaque, no public audits? How does one mysterious billionaire client hand total financial control to a former teacher, opening gates to an elite network that shields secrets for decades? Because as Epstein's wealth skyrockets with no clear source beyond Wexner, the empire expands fast, hidden cameras installed, jets acquired, islands bought, setting the stage for a trafficking web that lures victims while ferrying the powerful straight into the heart of it. But as Epstein's unexplained wealth explodes with Wexner's billions under his control, the empire takes shape fast.
Properties snapped up, jets acquired, an island bought, all rigged with secrets that turn luxury into a trap.
Late 1980s into 1990s, Epstein starts collecting real estate like trophies. The $77 million New York City townhouse on East 71st Street, largest private residence in Manhattan, transferred from Wexner for $1, later revealed wired wall-to-wall with hidden cameras recording everything in bedrooms, bathrooms, hallways. Palm Beach Mansion in Florida follows sprawling estate where the worst horrors unfold, raids later uncovering photo albums of young girls, massage rooms turned coercion sites, then the air fleet. Private jets including Boeing 727 dubbed the Lolita Express by staff, tail number N908JE, logged hundreds of flights, ferrying passengers to destinations worldwide with no public manifests. The crown jewel, Little St. James Island in U.S. Virgin Islands, purchased 1998 for $7.95 million, 72 acres of isolated paradise locals nicknamed Pedophile Island, blue-striped temple structure, guest villas, staff quarters, all accessible only by boat or helicopter, perfect for privacy no one can pierce. Epstein expands further: Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, Paris apartment, private Caribbean island next door, Great St. James bought later. Total empire valued hundreds of millions, lifestyle of endless parties, massages, and introductions for the connected. How does this isolated kingdom, island cut off, townhouse surveilled, jets untracked, become the perfect machine for luring underage girls with promises while hosting the world's most powerful, shielding activities behind walls of wealth and silence? Because as the properties fill with hidden tech and the jets log mile after mile, the trafficking web spins tighter, recruiters like Ghislaine Maxwell pulling in victims, turning Epstein's empire into a nightmare factory. No one escapes untouched. But as Epstein's isolated empire, townhouse cameras watching every move, jets flying unchecked, island cut off from the world, locks into place, the real machine starts spinning. A calculated system luring underage girls with promises of money and opportunity, only to coerce them into sexual acts for Epstein, his friends, and a network shielded by power and silence. Ghislaine Maxwell, British socialite and Epstein's longtime partner, becomes the key recruiter, targeting vulnerable teens, approaching them at malls, schools, or jobs with modeling gigs or cash for massages, pulling dozens into the web starting in the 1990s through 2000s. Victims as young as 14, many from broken homes or needing money, get flown to Palm Beach, New York, the island, promised education help or career boosts, but arrive to escalating demands. Undress, massage Epstein, perform sexual acts, recruit others for bonuses, threats of ruin if they refuse. Virginia Giuffer, groomed at 17 while working at Trump's Mar-a-Lago in 1999, describes being paid $200 to massage Epstein, coerced into sex, trafficked to his circle, including that infamous photo with Prince Andrew's arm around her waist, Maxwell smirking in the background, claiming abuse on the island and beyond. Dozens more come forward. Girls 12 and 17 lured from Florida, New York, abroad, coerced into acts with Epstein and allegedly guests, hidden cameras potentially recording for blackmail, the Lolita Express, logs showing repeat flights with young females listed only as female or initials. Epstein pays thousands per girl, bonuses for recruiting, pyramid of exploitation where victims become recruiters under pressure, trapped by money needs, fear, or grooming that normalizes the horror. How does this machine run undetected for years, luring with hope, coercing with power, until one mother's report in 2005 finally cracks the door on Palm Beach police, sparking raids that uncover the photo albums and victim flood?
Because as the island parties rage and jets land with elites aboard, the trafficking escalates unchecked, setting the litigations, sweetheart deals, and questions that explode decades later in the 2026 files.
But as Epstein's trafficking machine hums behind closed doors, underage girls coerced on the island, in the townhouse, on the jets, the flight logs start filling with names that make the world stop. Presidents, princes, billionaires, scientists, stars hopping rides on the Lolita Express, landing at Little St. James where privacy shields everything. Unsealed logs and 2026 files show Bill Clinton on dozens of flights post-presidency, 26 times logged between 2002–2003 alone, some to international spots, though Clinton denies island visits or wrongdoing, stating trips for foundation work. Prince Andrew appears multiple times, island stops confirmed in logs, leading to Giuffer allegations of abuse there, settled out of court 2022, Andrew denying claims, stripped of titles. Donald Trump flies in the 90s pre-politics, logs and photos show rides, plus Epstein recruiting Giuffer at Mar-a-Lago, but Trump bans Epstein from property later, denies island or wrongdoing. Bill Gates meets Epstein multiple times post-Minus 2008 conviction. Emails and files show discussions, Gates regretting meetings, denying deeper ties. Richard Branson, Leon Black, Jess Staley, even Elon Musk pitched ideas in emails, logs and mentions surface, all denying involvement in crimes. Stephen Hawking, David Copperfield, Naomi Campbell, Kevin Spacey, party or flight mentions, denials across the board, no proven trafficking participation. How do these logs, hundreds of trips, elites mingling on jets and island, fuel decades of questions about what they knew, saw, or ignored, while victims suffered in the same spaces? Because as flights rack up and island parties rage, one mother's report in 2005 finally alerts Palm Beach police, sparking raids that uncover the photo albums, victim flood, and a plea deal that shields the network for years. But as Epstein's jets log elite flights and the island parties rage unchecked, one mother's desperate call in March 2005 finally pierces the shield, reporting her 14-year-old daughter assaulted at the Palm Beach mansion, sparking police to dig where no one dared before. Palm Beach detectives launch quiet, interview the girl, uncover more victims fast, underage teens lured for massages turning into coercion, payments of $200 minus $300, recruitment bonuses pulling in friends. Raids hit hard. May 2005 search warrant on the mansion uncovers photo albums stuffed with young girls in compromising poses, trash bags of explicit images, hidden cameras wired throughout, bedrooms, bathrooms, hallways capturing everything. Victim flood follows, dozens come forward, ages 14-17, describing the same pattern. Maxwell or recruiters approaching at malls or Mar-a-Lago, promises of money or modeling, flown to island or properties, coerced into acts with Epstein and allegedly others, threats if they spoke. FBI joins 2006, grand jury probes trafficking across states, interstate crimes building federal case strong enough for life sentences. But July 2008 flips everything, U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta brokers secret non-prosecution deal. Epstein pleads guilty to minor state charges. Prostitution with a minor, 13 months in county jail with work release 6 days a week, 12 hours out for office, private wing, no real lockdown. Deal shields co-conspirators, Maxwell and unnamed potential, others granted immunity. Victims notified last minute, raging at the slap while Epstein walks free after cushy time. How does a federal case with dozens of victims and interstate trafficking collapse into a sweetheart plea that lets Epstein rebuild, protecting the network while survivors scream for real justice? Because as Epstein emerges smiling in 2009, the empire restarts, jets flying again, island parties resuming, setting the stage for federal charges a decade later that finally drag him back to face the horrors he evaded. But as Epstein walks out of that cushy Palm Beach jail in 2009 after the sweetheart deal, smiling, empire intact, the trafficking machine quietly restarts, jets flying again, island parties resuming, victims still silenced while the powerful breathe easy thinking the nightmare ended. Epstein rebuilds fast, returns to New York townhouse, Palm Beach mansion, Little St. James visits ramp up, recruiters pulling in new girls with the same promises of money and opportunity, coercion escalating behind closed doors as hidden cameras roll. He rubs shoulders deeper with elites, meetings with Bill Gates starting 2011 despite conviction, emails pitching ideas, Gates later regretting but ties lingering, more flights, more mentions in logs that stay sealed. Victims fight back slow, civil suits pile, Virginia Giuffre's 2015 defamation case against Maxwell unseals bits, but Epstein dodges federal heat, wealth shielding him as accusations swirl but no new charges stick. Then July 6, 2019, the hammer drops. Federal agents arrest Epstein at Teterboro Airport, returning from Paris on his jet. Southern District of New York unseals indictment for sex trafficking minors and conspiracy. Dozens of victims identified. Interstate crimes building life sentence case. Raids hit townhouse safe. FBI finds thousands of explicit photos of underage girls, labeled CDs potentially from cameras, hard drives, diamond jewelry, cash stacks, proof the machine never stopped. Charges detail 2000 and 2-2005 core, but allege ongoing, recruiting minors for sex acts with him and others, paying hundreds each, Maxwell as key co-conspirator.
Epstein pleads not guilty, denied bail, locked in Manhattan Correctional Center, facing trial that could expose everything, names, tapes, full network.
How does the man who evaded justice once finally face federal chains, arrests sparking global headlines, victims hoping for reckoning, only for one August night to flip the story forever? Because as Epstein sits in cell awaiting the trial that could drag elites into light, suicide watch lifts, guards fail checks, cameras malfunction, and the world wakes to news that ends his testimony, but ignites theories that burn to this day. But as Epstein sits locked in Manhattan Correctional Center, July 2019, federal charges hanging life sentence over him, raids uncovering thousands of explicit photos and labeled CDs from safes, victims finally hoping for full exposure. The story takes a twist no one saw coming, ending his testimony forever and igniting theories that burn hotter than ever. August 10, 2019, Epstein found dead in his cell, official cause hanging with bedsheet, ruled suicide by New York medical examiner despite broken hyoid bone common in strangulation, but possible in hanging, autopsy confirming no foul play. Chaos details fuel fire, removed from suicide watch July 23 after earlier attempt, cellmate transferred out night before leaving him alone against protocol. 2 guards falsify logs falling asleep during checks, hallway cameras malfunctioning that exact time, no footage of cell door. Attorney General Barr calls it serious irregularities, orders probes. DOJ Inspector General and FBI investigate, finding guard failures, broken protocols, but no evidence of murder, concluding suicide enabled by negligence. Epstein's brother hires pathologist Michael Baden, claims injuries more consistent with homicide strangulation, but official reviews stick to suicide, Baden's view minority. Death ends Epstein's trial, charges dropped, victims devastated losing chance to confront him in court, questions exploding. Did he kill himself fearing exposure, or silence to protect powerful names in logs and potential tapes? How does the man facing life for trafficking dozens, with safes full of photos and elite ties, die alone in cell with failed guards and cameras? Official suicide closing the book, but opening endless theories that the 2026 files still can't quiet. Because as Epstein's voice goes silent forever, the fight shifts to Ghislaine Maxwell and unsealing battles, victims demanding the network face light, while whispers of withheld tapes and more files keep the saga alive. But as Epstein's death silences him forever, official suicide closing his chapter but leaving victims raging for answers.
The spotlight swings hard to Ghislaine Maxwell, the recruiter and enabler who kept the trafficking machine running.
FBI arrests Maxwell at her hidden New Hampshire estate, Bradford, charging her with enticing minors for Epstein's abuse 1994-1997, perjury and depositions, facing decades if convicted. Trial explodes December 2021, Southern District, New York. 4 victims testify. Groomed as teens, coerced into acts with Epstein, paid to recruit others. Maxwell, the smiling enabler, promising modeling or education while delivering nightmares. Jane, Kate, Carolyn, Annie Farmer, ages 14-17 when targeted, describing Maxwell's role intimate, arranging massages, participating, normalizing horror in Palm Beach, New York Island. Prosecution paints Maxwell as Epstein's shadow, recruiter, groomer, liar. Defense claims victim's memory faulty, Maxwell scapegoat for dead man. Jury deliberates 5 days, December 29, 2021, guilty on 5 counts. Sex trafficking minors, conspiracy, transportation for illegal acts, acquitted 1 enticing count. June 2022 sentence, 20 years federal prison, $750,000 fine, 5 years supervised release. Maxwell appeals, claiming unfair trial, but conviction holds as of 2026. Death ends Epstein's trial, but Maxwell's unseals waves. Jeffrey civil suit against her forces document drops. 2019-2024 batches from depositions, emails, logs mentioning elites but no proven client list, just flights and associations with denials. 2024 releases name-drop Clinton, Prince Andrew settlements, Gates meetings, fueling headlines but no new charges, victims pushing for more. How does Maxwell's conviction and unsealing fights, exposing grooming details but shielding full network, ignite bipartisan fury demanding every DOJ file public, leading to the law that explodes the 2026 drop? Because as victims like Jeffrey demand accountability beyond one woman, pressure builds to Transparency Act, setting the stage for the avalanche that finally floods the internet with millions of pages. But as Maxwell's conviction lands, 20 years and early unsealed batches drip out names with denials all around, victims still demanding the full truth. The fight shifts to Congress.
Bipartisan fury finally forces a law that cracks the vault wide open, demanding full disclosure.
Years of court battles rage. Jeffrey suit against Maxwell unseals chunks 2019-2024. Flight logs mentioning elites, emails, depositions, but heavy redactions hide victim names and more. Advocates raging the powerful stay shielded while survivors wait. Outrage builds 2024-2025. Protests, survivor speeches, media storms over client list, myths no proven list, just logs/associations. Politicians from both sides jump in, accusing DOJ of foot-dragging to protect connected figures. November 2025, the Epstein Files Transparency Act passes bipartisan, sponsored across aisles, signed into law demanding all non-grand jury DOJ materials public by December 19, 2025. No more delays, full disclosure of flights, investigations, communications. Deadline hits, initial drop trickles with heavy redactions, thousands blacked out, sparking instant backlash. Where's the rest? Victims sue, media sues, Congress threatens contempt. Pressure explodes into 2026. DOJ promises major final batch, but advocates whisper millions more locked. Grand jury sealed forever. Potential tapes or videos never confirmed public. How does this hard-won law, bipartisan push for sunlight on power's darkest corner, lead to the January 30 avalanche dumping over 3 million pages, only for chaos to hit when victim names leak unredacted? Because as the clock ticks to the massive release, the world braces. Will it name the network, expose blackmail, deliver justice, or prove some secrets stay buried even when the vault door swings open? But as the Transparency Act deadline passes with trickles and redactions sparking fury, victims suing, media raging, advocates demanding every page, the DOJ finally bows to pressure, promising the final major batch that hits like a thunderclap no one expected.
January 30th, 2026, over 3 million pages hit justice.gov in one massive drop.
Deputy AG Todd Blanche calling it the culmination after years of fights, including flight logs deeper than ever, investigation notes, emails, photos, FBI timelines from 2000 and 5-2019 probes. Logs expand, Clinton on dozens more flights 2000 and 2-2003, some international but no confirmed island stops per his team. Trump 90s rides and Mar-a-Lago recruitment links for Jeffrey, denied wrongdoing. Prince Andrew Island mentions tied to settlements. Emails surface. Epstein pitching ideas to Elon Musk post-conviction. Musk denying response or meetings. Bill Gates deeper correspondence regretting ties. Richard Branson, Leon Black mentions in communications. Photos unsealed. Epstein with elites at parties, island structures, victim-related but blurred/redacted heavy. FBI timelines detail 2019 pre-arrest meetings with lawyers. Draft indictments naming unnamed defendants in conspiracies. Offshore money trails hinting laundering suspicions. Chaos erupts fast. Thousands of pages pulled days later after mistake unredacts victim names, DOJ scrambling fixes, lawsuits flying from survivors for privacy breach, outrage exploding online. They can't even protect victims. Political firestorm ignites. Accusations of time drop, demands for probes into mentioned figures. No new charges emerge, denials flood from all named, but headlines scream elite network exposed. How does this avalanche, millions of pages finally public after decades, deliver deeper logs and emails but no smoking gun, list, or tapes, leaving victims hopeful yet furious as more allegedly stays withheld? Because as the internet devours every page and theories rage, the real fallout hits. Name mentions revisited, settlements questioned, advocates pushing harder, setting off a reckoning that proves some truths surface. But others might stay buried forever. But as the January 30, 2026 avalanche dumps over 3 million pages, flight logs deeper, emails raw, photos unsealed.
The world scrolls frantic, hunting for the list that never materializes, only elite mentions and denials.
Bill Clinton tops logs, dozens more flights 2000 and 2-2003 confirmed, some international routes, foundation ties claimed, but team insists no island visits or wrongdoing, no new evidence beyond known associations. Donald Trump ties hit 90s flights pre-politics, logs and old photos, plus Mar-a-Lago recruitment link for Jeffrey working there 1999, but Trump banned Epstein later, denies island or abuse knowledge, no charges. Bill Gates emails deepen, post-conviction meetings and correspondence, Epstein pitching ideas, Gates expresses regret but denies deeper involvement or island. Prince Andrew Island mentions tied to Jeffrey allegations, settlement revisited 2022. Titles stripped earlier, denials hold, no new prosecution. Richard Branson, Leon Black, just Staley communications surface, party or meeting hints, all deny trafficking participation. Elon Musk email pitch from Epstein. Musk says no response or meeting, new shocks. Lord Peter Mandelson payments from Epstein noted, sparking UK resignation calls and fallout. Political storm erupts instant, accusations of time drop or cover, bipartisan demands for probes into mentioned figures, but DOJ stresses no new charges. Files show associations, not crimes. Media frenzy peaks, headlines scream, elite network exposed, theories rage online, but files confirm no proven client list or blackmail tapes public, just logs and mentions with heavy redactions protecting victims. How does this name drop chaos? Clinton dozens, Trump recruitment links, Gates emails, Andrew settlements, ignite global resignations and calls for accountability, yet deliver no smoking gun charges against the powerful. Because as denials flood and lawsuits hit over unredacted victim leaks, the real voices cut through hardest, survivors demanding the withheld millions surface, proving the fight for justice rages on. But as the January 30, 2026 avalanche floods the internet with over 3 million pages, logs, emails, photos finally public, the triumph turns bitter fast when chaos hits.
Thousands of pages are pulled back after victim names leak, sparking lawsuits and fresh trauma.
And sparking lawsuits that scream the system failed them again. DOJ scrambles, admits error in rushed release, pulls files for fixes, faces immediate suits from victims and advocates raging privacy breach on top of decades of pain. How do you protect the powerful but leak the vulnerable? Survivors step forward louder. Virginia Giaffer, Annie Farmer, dozens more whose statements fill files. Groomed as young as 12-14, lured with cash or modeling dreams at malls or Mar-a-Lago, flown to island or mansions, coerced into acts with Epstein and allegedly others, paid to recruit friends, trapped in cycle of shame and threats. Jeffrey details island abuse, Prince Andrew claims settled, Maxwell grooming farmer testifies sister targeted at 16 Epstein assault in New Mexico. Files humanize horror, girls from broken homes needing money, promised futures delivered nightmares, some suicidal after, lives derailed while elites flew free. Advocates explode, this is partial, millions more withheld, grand jury sealed forever, no tapes or full blackmail proof public, demanding probes into why drop timed, redactions heavy, no new charges on mentioned names. Outrage peaks online and streets, protests renew, survivors speak. We were children, power protected him, now protect us and release everything. How does this pull back chaos? Victim names leaked by mistake, lawsuits flying, turn avalanche triumph into fresh betrayal, fueling demands the withheld millions finally surface for real accountability. Because his voice is cut through the noise, girls as young as 12 robbed of innocence. The fight proves far from over, reckoning partial while questions burn. Will the locked files ever open, or stay buried to shield the network forever? But as the 2026 avalanche settles, over 3 million pages public, logs deeper, emails raw, elite mentions resurfacing with denials all around. The dust reveals no smoking gun, client list, no confirmed blackmail tapes, no new charges crashing down on the powerful, leaving victims and the world staring at a reckoning that's explosive. Yet incomplete, files confirm horrors. Girls as young as 12 groomed, coerced on island and mansions, Maxwell convicted but network mentions, shielded by redactions, and sealed grand jury forever. Advocates rage louder, Jeffrey farmer, dozens more demanding the whispered millions withheld, full videos from townhouse cameras, complete logs, offshore trails leading to prosecutions. DOJ insists final major batch, but pullbacks for victim leaks and lawsuits scream chaos, system protecting some while exposing others by mistake. Political fallout simmers, no resignations beyond old, no probes into Clinton dozens, Trump ties, Gates emails, Andrew settlements, but questions burn. How did power evade this long? Who knew and stayed silent? Victims cut through clearest, lives derailed, suicides attempted, futures stolen, demanding not just pages, but accountability that hits the connected, not just the dead man and his groomer.
How does this partial drop, truth surfacing but doors still locked, prove reckoning started, or cover-up refined with millions allegedly buried to shield the elite network forever?
Because Epstein's empire fell, Maxwell caged, files flooding, but the island horrors echo, victims fight on, and the world asks, will the withheld caches ever open, delivering real justice, or stay sealed protecting power that let it run decades? What shocks you most from these files? The underage victim ages as low as 12, elite flights dodging consequences, or no proven list / tapes after all the hype.
Do you think this 2026 drop finally serves justice or leaves too much hidden, letting the network breathe easy? Will more files surface in coming years, or is this as close as victims get?
Drop your thoughts below. What revelation demands follow-up? Who should face probes? Any updates on withheld
And
pages?
if this deep dive into Epstein's island, elite flights, and the 2026 explosion kept you hooked till the end, smash subscribe right now for more power betrayal stories where truth claws out. Turn notifications on.